Greetings and grand rising to everyone. Thank you all for joining us for day one of Rooted Reset. I want to make sure that everyone can hear me. So if you can, just pop it in the chat so I know that I'm being heard. Grand rising. Good. Wonderful. Thank you all so much. So we're going to go ahead and get started. My name is Iabola. I am the daughter of Maureen and Dr. Richard Smith and Stephen Tyson. I am the granddaughter of Violet Chevalier, Jacob Chevalier, of Bodell Anderson, and of Cecil Smith. I am the great granddaughter of Vickers Tyson and and Lucille Tyson, Hilda Benoit, and Eddie Benoit. I introduce myself in that way because I do not stand on my own, and I am always, always, always honored to stand before everyone who is here, everyone who is gathered, and everyone who will have the benefit of seeing and doing this work with us today. So we are here and gathered because we are getting ready for the spring equinox, which happens on Friday. It's a very interesting and spirit-filled day. I have a friend of mine who transitioned. It's her birthday. A dear, dear sister of mine. It's a spiritual day in my spiritual tradition, and it's also the equinox. And today, as we are starting this work, we are starting it on a new moon, which is really powerful as well because the new moon begins that process of the thoughts that we have that we're cultivating in this cycle to help them to manifest. So it's a really great time to be doing this work. And so I am honored to be here with you all. And so today we start by talking about why we're here, what are the things we're going to cover in these 3 days, and why it's important to talk about rooting ourselves. We did one of these during the winter solstice, and it was really important because these are times in which we feel a lot of energy. But specifically, when we move from the season of sacred rest, which is winter, into spring, there is also a frequency shift. We feel it in many different ways. We don't just feel it in the fact that we know that something is happening, but we also feel it in our bodies. Our bodies begin to uh, feel the frequency shift before we do. You may feel a little bit of restlessness. You may feel a little bit of some people feel like they can sleep a lot, which is one of the symptoms that I have. I feel like I can take a nap at the drop of a hat. But part of that is my body and my nervous system trying to get onto this new frequency and get in alignment with this frequency. You may find that, as you can hear, my throat is groggy, which is not normal for when I wake up, but you may feel some grogginess. You may have a lot of sinus issues. You may feel heaviness and pressure in the head and in the sinus area, even if you don't have sinus issues. Again, the frequency is shifting, right? The earth is beginning to wake up. And so that frequency that we had of dormancy and resting for the last couple of months is getting ready to shift. And so one of the things why it's important for us to be here today and to start this work is that we are able to use that energy and that understanding to really help us to manifest what we're looking to cultivate in this next season. So with that, we're going to get started. So today is day one, rooted reset. And part of our rooted reset today is rooting in trust, right? Being aware that truth begins with awareness. That truth begins with awareness. And that our body reveals our truth. And I know we've spoken about this before, but our bodies are the first places that share what's going on with us, right? And so we're going to talk a little bit about what that means and what looking at truth and looking at trust and what it means to restore trust in ourselves and what does that look like in our bodies. So just in terms of what we will experience in the 3 days, for however you can prepare your space, please prepare your space. But let this be a moment where you get to slow down and really listen to yourself, right? Allow yourself to take deep breaths and be fully present. Because this is a moment for you that helps you to set up all that you need moving forward, right? And so, if you have a journal, bring it out. If you have a plant ally, we'll talk about different teas that can help you during this season. And especially on the days that we're working together, I would implore you all to go ahead and begin using the formulas that we talk about and working with those plant allies during this time because it's really going to be helpful. If you have flower essence, you can use that during this time as well. And making sure that you're comfortable, right? A space that you can settle into stillness, that you feel comfortable, that you feel fully present as you go through your own understanding. So, this is really a great time to gently find out what's happening in your body and ensure that you're here, right? That you've given yourself this time, that you've woken up to share space with us today, and that you're giving yourself the time to be present. Okay, so take a moment now as we get ourselves all into one accord. We're going to take a couple of breaths and kind of wake up and warm our bodies up, and then we're going to jump right in. So take a moment to take a deep breath in and breathe out. Again, deep breath in and breathe out. Last time, deep breath in and breathe out. I want you to take your hands and slowly rub them together, just kind of warming up that energy center in between your hands. Warm. And when you are ready, take a moment to feel where on your body needs a little bit of warmth and a little tender care. And place your hands on that part of your body. And take a deep breath in and breathe out. Again, deep breath in and breathe out. Last time, deep breath in and breathe out. Good. Wonderful. All right, we are ready to start. So, we'll talk a little bit about our journey because I think it's important for us to, one, be present in where we are, but know where we're going. So, the next 3 days, we're going to be looking at um, kind of a progression of understanding where we are, the rhythm of the earth, the rhythm of ourselves, and what it means to be rooted in this time. So today is day one. We talk about truth. We'll talk a little bit about listening to the body, recognizing alignment and misalignment, and becoming honest with what is present. Day two, we talk about progress, right? Truth is in motion and how honesty creates momentum and opens the path forward. And on day three, we'll talk about focus. And that will be the day of the solstice, right? Directing our energy with clarity and intention and anchoring into purpose. So today we begin, right? And we begin at what we call our root. It's very interesting in preparing for this. I hadn't thought about it until just now that we begin with our root. Our root chakra is what actually grounds us into everything that we do. And that is actually the place where truth exists. We don't have to filter it. We don't have to try and define it. It's the truth of who we are. And so that's where we're going to start today. We're going to start with that root. We're going to start with the ability for us to tap into truth. So the energy of this of the work today, we start at the crossroads, and this energy is guided by, in the Asheshe tradition, the energy of Eshu. Right, he is the sacred keeper of the crossroads. He is the divine messenger. He brings awareness to ourselves, our truth, and our choices. Right, and what it means to choose courageously. It's this place where, at a crossroads, you decide to choose yourself. And what does it mean when you choose yourself? You choose yourself by recognizing the truth at the matter, right? Many times people confuse not just him and the deity, but also just the crossroads as a place of confusion. But it actually isn't a place of confusion because many times when we get to that crossroad, we know what we know. Sometimes we just need the courage to choose what we know is correct for us. And so this is an opportunity for us to take a sacred pause and to honestly see what is at our crossroads and to begin to question the choice that we are going to make so that this next season we can cultivate all of our dreams and our goals in a very specific manner. So I pose a couple of questions to you. What is true? In this moment, acknowledge what is real without softening or avoiding it, right? Take a moment to really say to yourself, what is true? Also, take a moment to ask yourself this question: what needs attention? What needs attention? Notice what has been quietly asking to be seen. What needs attention? And thirdly, what is asking to be acknowledged? What is asking to be acknowledged? Honor the messages your body and spirit are already sending. What is asking to be acknowledged? And if anyone wants to share what's coming up for them as they ask themselves these or they reflect on these questions, feel free to pop them in the chat, right? Understand that these are the things that will come up not because you're forcing them or even thinking about them, but they're coming up because they're a part of your inner knowing, right? What is true? What needs attention? What is asking to be acknowledged? I can say specifically for myself, what comes up with what is asking to be acknowledged is that the season of sacred rest has not probably been a lot of rest for me. And as a result, I am walking into this season not feeling rested, and asking um, to find time to cultivate that rest this season. Natasha shares my feelings. Yeah, what are the things that are coming up for you? Because these are the things that we want to work through as we're going through these three days and acknowledge that they exist, but they also will really foster this idea of restoration, right? The idea of restoration. So Natasha shares my feelings, and also I am tired and I feel a bit drained. Yeah, this is part of that season, and that season shifting, and so this is why it becomes really important for us. Grand Rising, greetings, Sammy. How are you? We're just getting started. Welcome, welcome. So we are talking about being at the crossroads. And so I want you to think about these three questions. What is true? What needs attention? And what is asking to be acknowledged? Natasha shares, acknowledging the things that are taking from me a little too much. Yep. And so part of that, and thank you so much for sharing that, Natasha, is thinking about what does it mean for you to be in balance? What does it mean for you to be in balance? And we're going to talk about boundaries and we're going to talk about what your bodies are saying as we continue today's session. Sion shares space to allow myself to play and not produce or perform. Yes. Maybe this becomes your season of play, thinking about how you cultivate that and cultivate that truth. Thank you all so much for sharing. We're going to keep going. So this idea of truth, again, as I shared and we've started, and I've realized we're talking about truth and we're talking about root chakra, right? This place that doesn't require us to be to filter ourselves. It's just the rawness of who we are. You are most welcome, Sammy. It's the root of who we are. So when we think about the body and we think about our bodies and trust, trust is not only a mental process, right? I always tell everyone our bodies are the first places that filters everything that we're experiencing. Which is why it's also really important. We'll talk about some of the plant allies that we can use during the season because they're really about being able to realign our nervous systems, right? The feelings of drainage, the feelings of unease, the feelings of just clunked up all the time and doing so much. This is a great time to really begin that body shift. This is also one of the reasons why during these times when we have these frequency shifts, you may feel as though you want to fast. You may feel as though as you want to do a juice fast or a water fast or just fast for a day or two, because that really helps the body to reconnect to one the frequency that's happening, but also to cleanse and refresh and start anew and to restart. So that's the other thing to pay attention during this time. The body is always communicating, right? The body always tells us what it is we need to know. The question is, are we listening? Are we listening to what our body is saying? Have we learned the language as we continue to evolve of what our body is saying it needs and wants in this season? So, the way in which the body will tell us, it will tell us and give us signals when we are in alignment, right? So, you have a sense of ease and openness. There's a sense of calm, steady, clarity. Your breath will flow very freely. Um, you'll find it that you will be okay with being quiet and you feel very settled in your body, right? Um, Many times when I work, I sometimes will work with other, I'm always doing more than one thing. So I'll work and I'll have, videos playing that are educational and teaching us about, business and moving forward. And, because my partner and I were doing so much work around expanding our businesses. And so many times while I'm working, I will have things on in the background. And I realized maybe 2 or 3 days ago that I actually have turned everything off. Like I actually really need quiet. Not that I can't concentrate of what's going on when I have other things on, but that I'm realizing that in this season, I need less noise. That I need to be able to focus in on one thing at a time. And so instead of doing it while I'm working, I have actually been watching the videos when I need to watch the video. So if I'm on a break or I make myself take a break while I'm working, I will then watch the video. And then when I come back, I'll come back and I come back to work. And so it's been a different sense of um, presence and accomplishment when I'm doing it because I feel like I'm fully present in the moments and I'm actually being able to get the best of both worlds. Um, and then what does the body say to us when we're out of alignment? Right? You feel tension in the body. We started the session by warming up our hand chakra and finding the place on our bodies that needed a little TLC. Because sometimes we'll feel it in our neck, we'll feel it in our shoulder, we'll feel it in our hip, we'll feel it in our feet. We'll feel it and not pay attention to it, but our body is holding tension, right? Um, there'll be a hesitation or a reluctance. Come on, you get that text message and it comes through and it makes you roll your eyes. That tells you something without saying anything or doing anything. You know that your body is telling you something about either that connection or where you are in that moment. That you may need to give a pause before you respond, because if you respond right now, it may not make this conversation go well, right? There is a sense of contraction or tightening in speaking about doing certain things, going to certain ways. You may feel slightly fearful, right? That is a sign that the body is telling you something is out of alignment. And then shallow or restricted breathing. I love when I do consultations with my clients, and I try my best to always do them on FaceTime or um, do it on FaceTime or Zoom or something where I can actually see them. Because one of the things that I love to look at is whether or not, or feel through, is whether or not they're breathing. You can really tell a lot about how someone is breathing just by watching them and watching their body language. And so, really being able to know when you are breathing. If your breathing becomes shallow or if your breathing deepens, that tells you about whether or not it's aligned. Sammy shares, I have really learned that lately. That's really great. Yeah, our bodies are amazing, amazing, amazing detectors, and they tell us beforehand. And I will say this, one of the things that's really important in these seasons, as we have these really massive season shifts, season changes, and frequency shifts, is that we pay attention to our bodies. Because as we have shared in other sessions, who you were 2 years ago and who you are today are very different. And so your understanding of who you are is going to help you to acknowledge and be aware of what your body is telling you during this time. So pay close attention to that as you're continuing in this frequency shift. So listening to the inner yes and the no, right? Our bodies again holds this powerful and ancient internal guidance that really helps us to understand the world around us, right? It helps our mind to form words and understanding around who we're with, whether or not we're safe. And part of that is really understanding how to rebuild that inside and out, right? So we ask ourselves a couple of questions. Where does my body feel relaxed? In this moment, soften your attention and notice where there is ease. Is it in your chest, in the belly, in the shoulders, in your jaw? Where do you feel ease? And it just takes a simple breath. And I'll share for me, as I took that breath, I felt it expand across my lower back, which for me is interesting because that is a part of the body that we say your kidneys, and kidneys holds fear. But I didn't feel that. I felt complete expansion as I took that breath. So think about where in your body you typically feel your tension. And as you took that breath and asked, where am I feeling relaxed? Where did it go? That tells you something about what is happening and what you've been working through during this last season and what this next season is bringing for you. The next thing that you want to ask yourself is, where does it tighten? Where does it tighten? Tammy shares that she's feeling it in her lungs lately. Your breath, your actual chest. It's beautiful. So, where does it tighten? Without judgment, again, take a deep breath in and breathe out. Where are you feeling some resistance? Again, take a deep breath in and breathe out. I felt it on that second one. Second one was actually on my right hip and not my left hip, which is very interesting to me. But where does it tighten? Where do you feel a little bit of resistance in your body? Right? And the last question is, where do I sense openness or resistance? Right? This is a place where we're not trying to fix it, but we're just trying to get the information and be a little curious about, interesting. Why am I feeling it there? Right? So take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. And where do you feel tightening at the same time you feel openness? Again, another deep breath in and breathe out. Yeah, where are you feeling that? Sion shares he's feeling tightness in her chest and her stomach. So interesting that you say that, Sion, because for me, I'm feeling it when I breathe in. I felt all of this openness in my chest, right, in my back, and even in my lower back. but the tightness was this one. I had literally, it's my right hip and not my left hip. So I probably have to do some hip circles when I get off from you guys. So my right hip is tightened, and my lower like solar plexus is pulsating. Right, it's not quite constricted, but it is definitely pulsating. Like I'm aware, very very aware of it. And so this is just information, right? Write down if you have some notes about where you're feeling it, because they correlate to emotions in our body, things that we need to work on in this season, and the way some of this work can really help us to transform and find the openness that we need. Yes? So, we're going to begin talking about our plant allies. And you all know I love kitchen medicine. I love them because they are things that we have that are accessible to us. And many times we have them in our kitchens in many different forms, and we forget the potency of this medicine. And our ancestors really understood it. And so I'm continuing to cultivate kitchen medicines in all of my work, so that we can continue to have access to this medicine at all times. So ginger, I have a piece right here because I keep it in my house all the time. Ginger, both fresh, grated, and powdered, is a great kitchen medicine for this particular day, for this crossroads. Why? Ginger is a warming, clarifying, and awakening herb. Ginger helps to remove and move any kind of stagnant energy. It opens what is closed, and it helps us to arrive fully into our body's present experience, right? As we know, ginger helps the body with circulation. It warms the body from inside out. It helps with digestive clarity, meaning you're having any kind of muddling in your chest, having any issues with your womb. Ginger is an amazing drink to take. You can combine it with so many things. But ginger also helps to move any kind of stuck or stagnant energy. It brings awareness, right, to the things that may be present but are ready to be seen. And so that's the way in which we can use ginger. And so what I would recommend for you today is to take a piece of ginger. Now, I like to do ginger a lot of different ways. Like in this moment, ginger is just saying, just take a piece off and pop and eat it. But I always let people know to explore the herbs in a lot of different ways. So take a moment and you can eat it. You can also, and it's going to warm up my mouth, and then I'm going to be running on like 90 in like 2 seconds. You can make a tea with it. Simply boil the water, cut up some ginger. I like to, I keep ginger a lot in my house, in my home, just because it can be used for so many different things. So many times I will grate the ginger and keep it in a jar in my fridge, so that if I want ginger tea or I need to make ginger honey for my daughter, or she has a cough or anything like that, we're able to do that very quickly. So I like to always keep it in many forms, and then I also have it powdered. You can use it all of these different ways. So I will suggest that today, throughout your day, if you can, not if you can, at some point in your day, that you allow yourself to make yourself some ginger tea. Ginger tea, lemon, and honey, slip it slowly and see what it does. Again, if you have ginger and it's near and you want to begin this process, you can also take a piece into your mouth. As I've taken that ginger, I'm feeling it beginning to run through my body. Those places that I talked about that I was feeling some tension, I'm beginning to feel them open up just in that little second, because I've already programmed my body to understand what's happening and to know that this plant ally is coming to aid me. So it's already starting to work. This is how this technology works for us. I always share what's really important about kitchen medicine or medicines in general is that the body is not going to know that it needs it unless you've already given it the opportunity to understand the capacity of that medicine, which is why it's important many times to take the bitter herb, many times why it's important to taste the food, because that's how our bodies are able to know when it needs it. So Sammy shares that ginger really helped me when I had a concussion. Yep. It naturally gravitate towards it. Yep. It helps with, again, this idea of improved circulation. Many times if people are having issues with the blood, they'll also add ginger. You can't, sometimes ginger by itself, you can't take ginger with certain types of medicines because of the way in which it will run through your body. But it's a really powerful, powerful herb. It's good for warming the spirit. It's good for warming the body. It's good for circulation, and also it helps to move stagnant energy. So we are also going to talk about flower essences. Of course, you all know that's my other passion, and thinking and talking about flowers. And in this particular session, when we're talking about truth, we're going to talk about the flower Serato. So Serato, I like to call it, is our courageous flower. It's that flower that talks about owning your inner knowing, and not being distracted or needing validation, but trusting ourselves fully. And in trusting ourselves fully, we step out courageously and speak our truth. Serato is the lead flower for the Truth Essence. So, those of you who are participating in our Soul Soil Collective, you all know that our module this month is also truth, choice, and communication. So, we're talking about how we understand truth. And Serato is the lead flower for the Truth flower essence. And so, when we talk about knowing our inner, trusting our inner knowing, right? Serato gently restores faith in your own perceptions and instincts. And so someone would say, well, what does that mean? And why are we calling this restoring trust? Again, many times when we have experienced trauma, we have experienced disappointment, we have experienced making a decision and it hasn't gone well. Those things create small opportunities for us to doubt ourselves. And in that doubt, we lose faith in ourselves, right? We lose faith that we made the right decision. We've had you got into a relationship, it was great, and then it was a bad breakup. And many times during that breakup period, you'll feel like the whole thing was the bad thing. And sometimes that's not what it was. It just, that wasn't your person and it wasn't that time. And it had nothing to do with who you are, meaning your personal definition of yourself. It really had to deal with, in this time period, you all were not aligned. And this was not the person for your continued evolution. And it's hard to see it, you can see it in hindsight, but many times while you're in it, it's very difficult to understand. Uh, and so, one of the things that we have to do, especially in these seasons of renewal, is that we have to restore faith in ourselves. And how do we do that? We do it by first understanding where in the body needs restoration. Then we start talking about our own perceptions and our own instincts and what has changed, what feels good, what doesn't feel good. Like for me personally, right now, I'm not into um, non-reciprocal relationships and relationships that are evenly weighted, meaning if I have to give four times and you give one, it's not going to work. uh it's just not going to work, not for the place where I am in my life. Probably 20 years ago, you probably could have got away with that because I may not have been sure of who I am. But now that as I become sure of who I am, that becomes very different for me. And so I won't say isolate, but I will make my circle even smaller to accomplish my goals in a very specific way. And that is a very clear, as I said it, I was like, yep, that's exactly what it is. The circle is getting smaller. So understanding what that truth is without needing it to be validated by anyone and being able to be really clear about why it's happening. The other piece that Serato does is it strengthens our intuition, right? It supports clarity when our mind is noisy and our inner voice feels faint. Again, this idea that sometimes we have so much noise around us or so many things are taking up our space that we haven't been able to silence the noise to understand what's going on and to feel like clarity is happening. And so Serato is one of those flowers that helps with clarity. Then the last piece, which I love with Serato, is releasing external validation. It helps to loosen the habit of looking outward for answers that already live within. I was sharing this on a broadcast with some other flower essence practitioners. And at the time, I was also taking truth. And so they were like, well, what flower essences are you taking right now? And I was sharing with them, oh, I'm taking Serato. And I realized that in different spaces in my life, Serato acts as the phrase that I have for Serato is I said what I said and then drop the mic. Right. There is no, I'm gonna go back and kind of think about, do I want to, nope, I said what I said. I'm really clear about what I said. That the truth doesn't have to be my truth, and me saying it does not have to be softened if that's not how I want it to be delivered. And I can be okay with it being that way. And then there are spaces where I've cultivated certain relationships and I understand that I don't have to deny my truth. I just may need to share it in a way in which it translates for someone else. And that's really about caring, right? That's having honor for the other person in that relationship to understand that it may require you to do some translation. But when you are sitting and speaking in your truth, many times you're not translating, you're just sharing it as it is. And this is a season where it's important for us to share our truth as it is, because if we don't understand where we're going. There's no clarity about what the direction is. And as we talked about the journey today we start with truth. Because in order for us to understand how to move forward or what direction we're moving forward, we have to start with clarity. What is it that we're working on in this season? Why are we working on these things in this season? And what do I hope to accomplish as I'm moving forward and putting some effort to push my dreams and my goals forward in this season? So let me know if any of those things about this flower resonates for you. I'm also going to share a little bit from the Divine Collection. I don't know if you can see it because I have the filter on, but it's okay. The Divine Collection resource guidebook that talks a little bit about the truth essence. So it says that the truth flower essence excuse me, let's try that again. The truth flower essence blend encourages a deep connection to one's inner truth, self-confidence, and the ability to face changes with courage. It facilitates personal growth by fostering clarity, emotional strength, and the ability to navigate transitions while remaining true to oneself. The user becomes empowered to trust their inner wisdom, express their authentic self, and stay aligned with their path regardless of external opinions or circumstances. One of the affirmations for Serato is I trust my inner wisdom and speak my truth with clarity and confidence, knowing my voice is powerful and valued. I trust my inner truth. I trust my inner wisdom and speak my truth with clarity and confidence, knowing my voice is powerful and valued. So that's a little bit more about Serato. And again, I always like to share an herbal remedy, a plant ally, and a flower, because flowers and flower essences, for those who have experienced them and those who are still exploring them, these are the essences that really help us with developing our emotional intelligence, that helps us with creating new pathways in our brain around our own traumas, around our own understanding of self. And so I share the flowers and the flowers that help us in this manner because, again, we live in an ecosystem where everything has been set up to really help us to evolve. The plants, the flowers, the roots, the trees, the wind, the weather, all of it. And so as we bring our awareness to that, we are then able to use these as tools for our own evolution. Thank you for sharing. Anything resonating with you? Thanks for sharing. Sammy says, this is resonating with me. Any thoughts that come up for you, feel free popping them pop them in the chat. See, that ginger already has me speaking a lot faster than I was when we first started. I'm very alert and awake now. So, hold on one second. I just want to check. Yes. So, I think before we go into this reflection practice, I would like us to do a visualization around truth. These visualizations are connected to the flower essence itself, but I want us to think about it before we do this reflection, and this will be a very interesting way for us to get there. So I'm gonna take this down for a second, and so I want us to take a moment. Take a deep breath in and breathe out. Again, deep breath in and breathe out. Take a moment to slow your breathing, taking your deep breath in and breathe out, and breathe in and breathe out. Now, I want you to imagine standing in a peaceful, open space, surrounded by clear blue skies and calm water. In the distance, you see a radiant beam of light shining down from above, illuminating everything it touches with a pure golden glow. As you step towards the light, feel its warmth and clarity beginning to wash over you. With each step, you feel lighter, more grounded, and more aligned with your inner truth. The light is gentle but powerful, clearing away any doubts, confusion, and revealing the truth that has always been inside you. Allow this light to fill your heart, to fill your mind, to fill your spirit. Feel the truth rising within you, clear and strong, with a steady current flowing from your core. You are connected to your inner self, and you know that the truth you speak is already within you. Take a moment to breathe deeply and affirm with me, I trust in my inner truth. I am aligned with clarity, honesty, and authenticity. I trust in my inner truth. I am aligned with clarity, honesty, and authenticity. I trust in my inner truth. I am aligned with clarity, honesty, and authenticity. When you're ready, take a deep breath in and breathe out. And the truth and the clarity that has risen to the surface, take it with you as you continue this session and continue your day. Good. How are we feeling? I see a couple of notes in here. Wow. Amazed at how on point and timing this reset is in so many ways. The direct minutes that I need now. You are most welcome, CEO. Thank you, Sammy. Yeah, how are we feeling? How are we feeling? A lot lighter. Yeah. Right? We're allowing the truth to rise from who we are and taking a moment to honor that, right? Because again, a lot of the noise that is going on around us at all times, we forget that we need to take these pauses to be able to honor our own spirit. So I thank you all. I thank you all for choosing yourselves and for being here with us today. So I'm going to take a couple of minutes to do a short reflection practice, right? And so in this practice, you're going to there are three questions that are here, and you don't have to answer all three. I suggest we're only going to put, I'm going to put the timer on for like 3 to 5 minutes. So you can go ahead and choose one of these questions after I review it. Natasha shares, settled in my energy. Sammy says, motivated. It's been hard for me lately to start my day early. That's wonderful and beautiful. This is a new season, and that frequency shift will have you up. And I bet you, if you drink some ginger, you'll feel it even more. So take a moment. These are our three questions. Where in my life do I feel fully aligned? Notice where there is ease, flow, and a quiet sense of rightness. What does it feel like for you in your body? Where do I notice tension or hesitation? Without judgment, observe where something feels contracted, unclear, or unresolved. What is present there? And then the third one is, what truth might my body already know? Before the mind forms the words, the body speaks. What is being quietly told to you today? So I want us to take a moment. Well, I'm going to set a timer, maybe about 3 to 5 minutes, to write about this. Pick one. I would say don't pick too many, because then our mind is like, I'm not sure. So you can either go through them sequentially as they come, or I would suggest that you choose one that pops out at you and write about that for 5 minutes or so. I'm going to put us on a little bit of music and mute myself, and we'll be right back. All right. How did that reflection go? If anyone would like to share either what you reflected on or what came up for you or what you noticed about your reflection, that would be great as well. You can pop that in the chat. So, something that came up for you that you felt, oh, that was interesting, or how the reflection actually went. Did you have trouble with the reflection? Have you been set up to really begin to understand how this moves and feels in your body? I'll give a couple more seconds. Great. So, Sammy is sharing that she did the third question. Mine was saying, let things unfold naturally. If it's meant to be, then it will be, and with the right people. Also, everything doesn't have to actually be acknowledged or right away. Yeah, yeah. What truth my body already know. Thank you for sharing, Sammy. Anyone else before we go into our ritual for the day? And then we are going to close out and get ready for tomorrow. And keep reflecting on these questions throughout the day because they're going to be different as you continue to um, identify and speak in your truth. So I want us to have some time to do this crossroads ritual. And so the way in which we're going to do this ritual is very, very simple, right? Today is about grounding in honest awareness, what our body understands, what our mind understands. And writing is one of those practices where we can write unfiltered and what without judgment, and that causes us to have the ability to kind of reflect on what's going on with ourselves. So we're going to create an opportunity to actually create almost like a crossroads. You're going to take a piece of paper and have two pieces of paper. You can tear it out of your book. You can, um, however you want to do it. You can fold a piece of paper. It's totally up to you. But you're going to do it so that you have two columns. One column that says what feels out of alignment, and another column that says what truth is emerging. Again, one that says what feels out of alignment, and another one that says what truth is emerging. Yes? And so we're going to literally do this in like 2 minutes. I'm going to put my timer on again. 2 minutes. You're going to just write unfiltered what feels out of alignment and then what truth is emerging. I'm going to do 2 minutes for each. Um, Take a moment if you have your tea. This is a great time to have your tea with you. And at the top of your paper, again, you want to write what feels out of alignment. And I'm actually going to do this one with you guys because I've done it before, but every time it comes out different. Yeah. Okay, let's put a little think music on. Okay, the timer is on and allow yourself to write. We have about 30 more seconds. Again, unfiltered. What feels out of alignment? That's our 2 minutes. Sorry for the startle. So now take your second piece of paper and you're going to write what truth is emerging. We're going to do another 2 minutes. Again, allow yourself to write unfiltered. We have about 30 more seconds. Great. So now I want you to take a moment. This is music decided to come back on. Sorry. Now I want you to take a moment to reflect. No worries. I want you to take a moment to reflect. I want you to read what you wrote. What feels out of alignment? What truths is emerging? What truths or truth is emerging? When you read this and reflect back on this, what stands out for you? What stands out for you? I will say, with me doing it for myself, again, I know what I know, right? One of the things that I wrote is I always say one hand to give, the other to receive. My receiving hand is imbalanced. I give a lot, but my receiving hand is imbalanced. There is a lack of reciprocity in some of my relations. And the truth that's emerging is I'm ready to expand, which also means that I will have to contract my circle. What about you? What's coming up for you right now? And so, what I want you to do with these pieces of paper, and the reason why I had you either put it on two separate pieces of paper or in a column so that you can split it, is the things that feel out of alignment. I want you, because we're in this new moon energy, I want you to take those things at some point during your day or before you go to bed tonight. And I want you to read them out loud. Read it, what feels like out of alignment. Read those things. And then I want you to tear up this piece of paper and discard it. We're going to get rid of those things that are out of alignment. We read them, we're aware of it, our bodies are aware of it. It's time for us to focus on the truths that are emerging. And the truths that are emerging, that's what's going to continue with us for the next 2 days. Yes? So at some point, you can do it now. If you would like to do it now, we can do it now. Let's just do it now. Take a moment, read what feels out of alignment. Take a moment, you can fold it up and you can tear it up. What is out of alignment, we're no longer keeping, right? We're taking this moment, especially in the energy of the new moon, to say that these things that are out of alignment are no longer going to be out of alignment because we're removing it from our understanding and our consciousness. And you can go a little further and either flush it down the toilet, you can put it in some water, you can burn it. There are lots of different ways, but you choose which way you want to. But at least we've done the first part together, which is acknowledging it and saying it no longer has space here. We no longer have capacity to be out of alignment, and we're getting rid of it. Yes? Sion says, what's coming up is that I clearly know who I am and what I want to do. Absolutely. That is really beautiful. And so we're going to keep the truths that are emerging. I want you to, after we get off this session, to keep them in your journal because we'll come back to them in our next couple of sessions. And even in thinking about how you use the new moon energy, right? Today, if you do new moon rituals, if you say your prayers at your altar, this is a great day to take the truths that are emerging and put it at your altar. And begin to cultivate that seed right now. It helps us to know what we're working towards. Great. How are we feeling? Sammy says, I can agree with Simone. What came up for me is that some bad moments actually realign us. Yep. And my year last year was so karmic. So I'm flowing through this year much better. Yep. That also happens. Seasons of our lives really define us or require us to bring our full selves to the forefront. Thank you for sharing. Thank you, Sion and Sammy, for sharing. So let's just reflect a little bit about what it means, right? Speaking truth. After reflecting on your writing, after reflecting on the ritual of what no longer aligns and what truth is emerging, we are going to now place our hands on our heart, take some breaths, and actually allow it to integrate. And I know those of you who've done a couple of workshops with me before, the biggest thing about having the revelations and having the lessons is really about the integration. Like, how do we now move this into our everyday understanding? And so we're going to do that a little bit with this affirmation. Natasha shares, I feel a bit lighter and awake because I told you that ginger, I took it just a little bit. I didn't even make a whole ginger tea. I usually make ginger and cinnamon together, no honey, nor anything, because it'll sweeten itself. And I think I'm going to make some of that when I get off of this session. So take a moment, place your hands over your heart, take a deep breath in, Breathe out. Another deep breath in. Breathe out. Last time, deep breath in and breathe out. And at your own pace and on your own time, say aloud this affirmation: I honor the truth that is revealing itself. I honor the truth that is revealing itself. I honor the truth that is revealing itself. Take a moment in your mind's eye to imagine that crossroad. You know what you know what you know. Just stand there. Bask in who you are in this moment and choose not fear of what's on the other side, but to be honest and aware of where it is you want to go. This is about reminding ourselves we know what we know. I trust myself. I know what I know. I trust myself. I know what I know. I trust myself. And take a deep breath in and breathe out. Again, deep breath in and breathe out. Last one, deep breath in and breathe out. And you can let your hands go and open your eyes if your eyes were closed. And so we did it. We did day one. Truth is the beginning of every transformation, right? Today, we talked about what it means to listen honestly to our bodies, our instincts, to quiet the noise and pay attention to what in this moment feels aligned, what truth needs to come to the surface so that we can cultivate that in this season. What has happened today is that you've already planted the seed. You listened, you paused, you stood at the crossroad with honesty, and that takes courage. So please, encourage yourself. Give yourself a round of applause because it is not easy. It's not easy. And so I want to share a little bit about what comes tomorrow. So tomorrow we take this truth, we take the seeds that we've planted, what's emerging, and we begin to explore how truth becomes movement and progress. How do we use our gifts? How do we use our skills? How do we use our visions to now move this into something that we're creating with our hands, with our minds, with our bodies, with our voice, right? Something that is a part of the legacy we leave, how we serve, what we give to our families, how we carry this energy forward. I am super, super excited. Anytime I do these workshops, I feel as though you all learned, but I learned as well. And so for that, I am truly grateful. We have completed day one. Thank you all for being here for a rooted reset. And if you have any questions or things you want to share before we close out, please feel free. But again, thank you, thank you, thank you for being here. You are most welcome.